So let's continue with programming. Today we want to finish minimum of 3 subtopics. That is string handling, enumerations, wrapper classes, and possibly go into collections. Okay. Right. String handling. So string is a collection of characters. Remember, we have different data types like int, uh, float, boolean, and so on. Whole numbers, of course, not only int, you have byte short as well, float double for decimals, boolean for true false value, char for single characters. Okay. So similarly, we have another data type. It's not a data type actually, built in Java class called string. Okay, string. And not only string, we have another class called string builder, string buffer. So in general, strings means set of characters like hello. Okay, so usually in Java, we represent within double quotes. So then we call it a string. Okay, right. So strings are heavily used because something like someone's name, email address, maybe address, product name, product description, those are basically strings. They are not going to fit into char or int or double or float. So therefore, strings are heavily used uh, in programming. Okay, heavily used in programming. So we have two type of string classes in Java. One is you can use string, the class called string. Okay, class called string. Uh, that is when your string is immutable. Immutable means you don't change much. You assign a value and then you don't change it. Maybe string name say animal. So you're not going to change that name much. Of course, usually you don't need to change the name of a person. So then go for string class. String class. But if you are going to frequently change the value, at different times you are going to assign different values. So you substring, add, append values. So then for mutable situations, go for string builder or string buffer. I will explain later why. Okay. Because string class is optimized for immutable strings where you don't assign, you don't change much. String builder and string buffer is more optimized for mutable strings. That is strings that you keep changing the values. Right. So let's first look at the string class. Okay, string class or mutable strings. Sorry, immutable strings. So whether it's string or string builder or string buffer, internally your strings are array of characters. Internally is represented as array of characters. You know that arrays are zero based, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So individual character you can refer using the index, say third character, fifth character, fourth character is a space, and 11th character is a full stop in this case. Okay. So always internally it's an array. And you can refer to that using the using an index. Okay. But you are not directly exposed to the array, you need to access it using different methods. Right. So let's see how to use string class. So remember, string is a class. It's not a primitive type. Right? So therefore, if you want, you can create a string as an object. But because string is very heavily used class, so they have allowed you to create a string just like a primitive type. But it doesn't mean string is a primitive. Just to make our life easy, you can just create a string variable just like byte variable, int variable, float variable, as likewise. Okay, so therefore you can create a string like this. But in reality, what you're doing is something like this string, say my string, one equal new string, and giving that, say hello, whatever the value. So because this is a little bit lengthy, you can do it like this. and this is perfectly okay. And actually, this is preferred also. Okay, but it doesn't mean that string is a primitive type. String is a class in Java. Basically, you are creating an object of string. Okay, object of string, and assigning the value to that object's value. In this case, hello one. Okay, so this is the object notation. But this is not usually required, and actually it's discouraged also because it's lengthy and so on. But this is possible. And also they have overloaded version of the string constructor. Basically, you are calling the string constructor because string is built-in class that accept either string literal or string char array. If you have a char array with your characters, you can give that char array and create a string also. So that you have two options. Right? You have two options. But easier and more preferred option is you just create like this. Okay. Don't worry about creating objects. Okay. But these are possible. Right. So then few operations. Okay. You can concatenate strings using plus operator. So plus operator is overloaded. If both are numeric, it act like addition. If at least one is non-numeric, it act like as a concatenation. Concatenation means at the end of the first string, you append the second string. So therefore, this is both are string. The result is something like this. Because you can't add 1 and 2. Of course, you can add 1 plus 2 and say 3. But these two, it's now concatenation operator. It's called operator overloading. Same operator behave differently depending on the data type of the operands. Okay. So if you want to concatenate, there's another way. That is because string is a class. String class has a method called concat. So for your first string object, in that case it is 1. You concat the second string object which is 2, and you assign it to a different variable. Then that variable has 1, 2. That is 1 concatenate with 2. Okay. So there is another way of concatenating, but most of the time we don't use this approach, but you must be aware that these are available because this is super easy. Okay. Right. And also plus equal operator available. Basically plus equal means S1 plus equal S2 means S1 equal S1 plus S2. So then S1 and S2 must be strings. If both are strings, of course, X1 is currently 1, S2 is 2. The result is 1, 2, now assigned to S1. So therefore, if you print S1, actually there's a typing mistake, this should be S1. If you print S1, it will be 1, 2. Okay, so let me fix that issue because there's a typing mistake. So this must be S1, okay? I will upload the corrected version, okay? Right, so plus equal operator. Okay, but if both are numbers, of course, it will be addition. So then there are some methods available. Of course, lot of methods available. I have mentioned only commonly used methods, which are mentioned in your UCSC note as well. Remember, string is a class. So therefore, they have added these methods so that we can use it. And they have implemented these methods also. Length method, chat, substring, trim, to lowercase, to uppercase, and so on. Okay. Right. So if you have a string object, it's a instance method. If you have the reference variable and call the length method, it will give you the length of your string. In this case, of course, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So when you print the length, you will get it as 9. Of course, we took it to a variable. Or you can just see system out print and then you can print s1.length. Right. That is length method. Then you have char method. Char method will give you the character at a particular index. Remember, this is zero base. It's array internally. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Dot T is 11. So what is the character 8? That is obviously F. So therefore, we assign it to a char variable because it gives you a char and then print it. And obviously, it is going to print F. So today, I'm not going to write a lot of code because now you should code, right? You should code. You must have enough trust that these are going to work. You must have enough trust on me, enough trust on Java. Because so far, everything that is mentioned in your PowerPoint presentations were working, right? So therefore, this should also work, right? So it is it's your task to do coding. Now my task is doing less coding and explain concepts because we spend a lot of time creating hello world, loops, operators, right? So now it's up to you to do the coding more and me to do less coding, right? So that is chart method. Another method is index of. So chart method, given the index, it give you the character. Index of, given the character, it give you the index. Right? So what is the index of this particular character? Okay. So this is an example. So I have a string. So rather than creating a separate string, I have just create a string and straight away calling the index of method because this is a, or you can create a variable and call the index of. What is the index of E? So it will check from this left end and see what is the first place where you have a E character. Obviously, it is first index. So therefore, output is 1. And it is an overloaded method. If you provide only the first character, it will check from the 0th index. But it has a overloaded method. That means 2-parameter version is available. There you give the character and from which index you want to check. So here I'm saying, where is character E, first occurrence of character E, but check from second index onward. Second index means 0, 1, 2. It will start checking from 2 onwards on. Therefore, this E will not be considered. And then 3, 4, the E is found in the 4th index. So therefore, output is 4. Right? So this means you check from the 0th index. So this means you check it from this index onward. If this character is there before this index, ignore it. And you keep checking from left to right and tell me what is the first occurrence. And not only character, it works for string as well. So maybe something you can say index of maybe MB. MB, then of course you double quotes. Then it will give you what is the index of the first character. And again, if you give a second parameter, it will start checking from that point onward. Okay, that you can do it by yourself. Okay. Right. Last index of. So if it is not index of method, last index of method, so it is checking from backward from right 10. It check backward from right 10. Index of method will check from left 10 or from your index to onwards. But if it is last index of, it check from right 10 to leftwards and give you the first occurrences. Okay. So in this case, last index of E that now you are checking from the right 10 and this is the location that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So answer is 7. And this says last index but check from this particular index onward. Okay. This particular index onwards. So then of course it is again E 6 index onwards 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you start checking from this and now you are going rightwards. What is the first time you get this position? And this position is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Answer is 4. Okay. So last index go from right to end. Index of method go from left to right. Okay, left to right. There's a question, how constructor can access instance variables, because constructor will call when object is created before initiate variables. So I think this is not related to strings. This is related to object-oriented programming. Okay. So constructor can access to instance variables because when the constructor is created, instance variables are already created. Okay. So when the constructor is created, your instance variables are already available. Okay. So therefore, don't think that constructor is called after instance variables are initialized. Constructor is called after instance variables are initialized. So therefore, constructor can access instance variables. Okay. Constructor can access instance variables. Okay. So the first thing that happens is instance variables are initialized, and then only whatever the logic in your constructor is called. That is how it works. Okay. So therefore, from the constructor, you can refer to instance variables. Okay. Right. So that is index of method, last index of method. So there we have the overloaded versions where you always start from left hand or right hand, depending on the index of last index, or from your specified index, it starts searching leftwards in the case of index of, rightwards in the case of last index of. Okay. So the next one is substring. So this is the one that is most widely used. You want to create a slice of your string, then we use substring method. Again, it is overloaded. You can only provide the begin index, or you can provide begin index and end index both. Okay. Right. Say this is my string. I want to substring from fourth index onwards. So fourth index till the end. If you have one index, if you have two index, from this index to that index. But second index is exclusive. That is a headache, I know. First index inclusive. That means fourth character is also inclusive. That is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So therefore, from this point onwards, that is over. If you run this, you will get the output like this. But if you provide two parameters, starting index is fourth one in this case, ending index is 7, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But remember that index is exclusive. So therefore, don't think now this is inclusive, but second index is exclusive. Therefore, output will be O space W. Right? This is exclusive, this is inclusive. Not only in Java, almost every languages, this is how the substring method has been implemented. I don't know the real reason. Maybe in the era of C, they have started like that, and now everyone follow it. Otherwise, there will be confusion. But I don't know why they are continuing this mess. In substring methods, if you have two parameters, first one is inclusive, second one is exclusive. Okay, first one is inclusive, second one is exclusive. Okay, right. So that is something that you need to remember, because examiners check whether you know these things. Right. So the next one is trim method. You know what is meant by trim, right? Trim color here. So trim method will get rid of any leading zeros and trailing zeros. Sorry, trailing spaces and leading spaces, but it will not touch the middle spaces. Okay. For example, say this is my string. If you just print it, output will be something like this. There will be spaces here. Of course, I highlighted, otherwise you can't see it. But if you trim the method, call the trim method and then print it, these spaces are removed. Now your string is something like this. That is why it print like that. So then someone will ask, what is the practical use of trim method? Okay, can someone tell me the practical use of trim method? Anyone? Just think and tell me. In a program, will you use trim method? if you use, what can be the reason? Not to minimize resources. Because there can be reason to have spaces as well, right? Maybe person added these spaces with a purpose. So then just to minimize resources, you are not supposed to remove it. Right. So this method is called almost all the time when you design forms and so on, use interfaces. Because some people, of course, any person, when you enter a string, sometimes they add extra spaces by mistake. Just the say maybe at the beginning or at the end. But if you take something like a name, we know that definitely that is a mistake. So you are not supposed to have spaces at the beginning and end of a name, email address, uh, and so on. So therefore, almost all the time when we read value from a text box for name, email, and so on, we always call the trim method and get rid of any additional spaces typed by the user by mistake. So therefore, this is a very handy method. We very heavily use trim method to trim the text values input by the users. Okay. All right. Of course, it is not going to touch your middle spaces. Right. So then the lowercase and to uppercase. So to lowercase method will convert every character into its lowercase. To uppercase will convert each and every character into uppercase. Of course, if it is already uppercase, it is not going to touch it. Right. So this is my string. And if I just print it, it will print Java like this. But if I call the to uppercase and assign it to itself for any other variable and then print that, now it will be all capital. Okay. So using the ASCII codes or Unicode, it will convert to the corresponding capital letter. Okay. Of course, for numbers, it is not going to affect. Numbers will be staying just like most numbers and special characters won't change. Right. To uppercase to lowercase. Then we have another method called replace. So that obviously replace the old character with the new character. The character in the first parameter will be replaced with the character in the second parameter. All the places, not in just one place. Okay, everywhere. Say this is a string and we call the replace method. All simple L I want to replace with capital L. So then all these L's will be replaced with capital L. Okay. Replace. Okay, replace. Actually, though we call it replace, it will replace all the occurrences, not just one place. Then there's a funny naming to make you really confused. There's another method called uh, replace. Okay, where is that? I think I have not typed it properly. Right, so let me do it. So this is example of to uppercase method. Okay, so this is Java. Without this is to uppercase. Okay, let's take the second one. Right. So we call the to uppercase and then print it. It will be capital Java. Java in capital letters. Okay. You can see Java in capital letters. If you print just str2 before conversion, uh, str2, it will be normal Java. First time normal leopard, second time capital. Okay, so what about this replace and replace all? Okay, so let's have str. let's call this say hello world. I will call the replace method str dot replace. Okay. Say simple L with capital L. Simple L character with capital L character, or whatever you want, and print it. Okay, so what is the output? And this is the output. Okay. Right. So now let's see what is mean by replace. Can I use string for that? String. Two strings. So replace simple L with capital L. Okay. Let's run. So it works. Okay. Still it works. Say I want to replace say LL with say capital XX. Right? Simple LL with capital XX. Now it is not going to replace this one. It is going to replace only this one. Okay. And say I have another place world. Okay, well, let's first run like this. Right, only this one. But if you have another LL here, of course I am mistyping it. So it has replaceable. Okay. So basically replace method work for characters, single character or strings. Okay. Single character or string. So that is why there's a confusion about my note. Okay. Right. So then what is this replace all is doing? Sorry. Replace all is doing. So let me double check. I don't know whether I have added it with by mistake. Okay. Let me double check. Okay. Okay. Let me run it as replace all. Whether there's something called that. Yes, there's a replace all. But replace all has a little bit more functionality. But basically, replace and replace all work the same way for simple cases. You can see same effect. Okay. But replace all has more features. If you go there, it is expecting regular expressions. Okay, regular expression. So therefore, basically, replace all method has more features than replace method. Other than that, replace method and replace all has the same feature for simple usages. But if you need more advanced usages with regular expressions and so on, because this is not actually all character for replace all, actually this should be replace all. This is regular expression. Regular expression. Right. So usually they don't ask about regular expressions in your exams. So therefore, I'm not going to talk too much about that. Okay. But remember, it has more feature-rich than replace method. Okay. So this must be again replace all. But for simple scenarios, replace and replace all work the same way. Okay. But anyway, I will update this and upload it again. Otherwise, there will be confusion. Okay. Right. If you are interested in what is regular expression, just do a Google search or ask from ChatGPT. It's a little bit of advancing, but it is very handy when you do validations. Right. When you do validations. Right. So then we have equals and equals ignore case. So equals method will check whether two strings are the same. Same character sequence is there. But it will consider the case. For example, high in simple and high in capital. When I send with the equals method, it will say, well, let me do it as a practical thing. For example, if I ask, say hi, equals, say, capital high, here H is capital, it will say false. Right? It will say false because those two are not the same. Right? False. But if I ask is high equals ignore case, right? Equals ignore case, and now it will say true. Because if you ignore the case, these two have the same. Right? It's not true. That is the difference between equals and equals ignore case. Equals will check, consider the case also, but equals ignore case will ignore the case and see whether two are the same. Okay, right. I hope you got it. Okay, right. So that is not all the methods in string class. There are some other methods, but these are, of course, you also have capacity. You can't remember all the methods for the exams also. So therefore, these are some selected methods of widely used methods mentioned in your UCSC note. I have added it to this one. Okay, right. So now we move on to what is this immutable nature of string? I told you at the beginning, if strings are, if your values are immutable, use string. Or actually, strings have the immutable nature. So therefore, if you are not going to change it much, use string. But if you are going to change it frequently, don't use string. Going for something else. So the reason is this. Now, for example, uh, say I have a string. So you need to understand this. Otherwise, you will be very confused. Okay. Because a lot of students don't know why there are three different classes. Say I have string class, so string variable, say a equal, say hello. Now I want to, of course, I will print it a, and it will print as hello. Okay. Hello. Now assume I want to uh, convert it to uppercase. So then, if usually as object-oriented programmer, your expectation is you can just call something like this, and then it will be in uppercase because you call the behavior. But in reality, this doesn't work. Still, my A is printing hello in simple. You can see, though I call the two uppercase methods, still it is hello in simple. That is because strings are immutable. So if you want to make this happen, right, you need to do this and assign it to itself or to a different variable. Now I have assigned the value, I convert it to uppercase and assign it back to the variable of A. So now if I run it, now only second times hello will be in capital. Right? So there are two issues. One thing is you need to write lengthy code because you need to assign it again. Second thing is there's a performance issue. Okay. But if you go for string builder or string buffer, let me comment this. Say there's a class called string builder. String builder. Say A equal, say again hello. Okay. So you can see there you can't have create like this. You need to create it like a class because this option of creating strings like this is only for string. So they have not given that option for string builders and string buffers. So there you need to go for new object-oriented notation. Right? String buffer or string builder. Now this is mutable. So therefore I can just call behaviors normal way. Right? Say a dot, say I want to reverse it. If I want to reverse it, I just call reverse. Okay, let's first print A. Okay, let's call this B. S out B. And again, after reverse method, let's call S out B. And now it will be reverse without any issue. Reverse means left to right, right to left. Okay, you can see. But when I did that for string class, now I will uncomment this. When I did that something like that for the string class, here the expectation is now it is uppercase, but it is not uppercase. You can see, though I call the two uppercase, still it is not uppercase. But when I call the reverse method, now it has been reverse. So string builder, you can just call the method like that. But strings, you can't call like that, right? So this is not going to work. So how it is going to work? You need to reassign it. Reassign it to a same variable or different variable. So you need to do like that when you call the methods which change your string. And now only it work. So the reason is right now work. Right. Reason is strings are immutable. String builder is mutable. So what is mean by that? Or why it is happening like that? So the reason is anyway, a lot of programming languages you don't have that kind of a thing. Basically, Java people wanted to increase the performance or reduce the memory usage of your variables. Okay, reduce the memory usage of your variable. So therefore, when a string object is created like this, okay, so there's a special memory area reserved by your JVM called string pool. Memory is allocated from that area. In this case, A, hello. And if you have another variable, say B, with same value, your B is not going to allocate new memory because this string is already there. So therefore, both A and B will be looking at the same thing, same memory location. Right? So why they did that? To reduce the memory usage. But that happens only when you have multiple variables having the same value. If they are having different values, of course, different memory locations are allocated. Of course, this happens very rarely. Two variables referring to the same value. But anyway, they decided, okay, let's optimize that. Okay. But now the issue is, if a particular variable change it, say, if A says convert it to uppercase, you can't convert this to capital hello. Why? Your B is also looking at this. So then that is wrong because B is supposed to have hello in simple. Only A is supposed to have hello in capital because we call A dot to uppercase, not B dot to uppercase. So that is the issue when multiple variables are looking at the same string. Right? So therefore now they can't change it. So therefore that is why when you do like this, still this is not change. Your A is still not change. Right? So if you want to do that, you need to reassign it like this. Then what happens is B is still looking at this. Now A is looking at different string and now A is looking at this. Now it's okay. So that is why you are supposed to reassign it because strings are immutable. Immutable means in memory you can't change. The moment you do a change, it is a new value and new reference variable. You can't change it because multiple values may be looking at the memory location. But there's no such issue for string build and string buffer. Every variable get a different memory location. If you have 100 variables but the same value, still those are 100 memory locations. So therefore you can do the changes in the same place in the memory. Okay. So that is therefore string is optimized better when you don't change the value. Because otherwise you need to reassign it to itself. That means another new memory location, another new memory location is treated. But if you need to change it frequently, go to string buffer, then of course the same memory location, your values are changed because only one variable is looking at that memory location. Right? Only one variable. So that is why we say strings are immutable and don't use it only when the values is not going to change. Of course, if you want to use it with value change, you can do it, but then you are wasting your memory. Right? But when the value is going to be changed frequently, go for string build or string buffer. because then you don't have that issue, and also you don't need to reassign it to your variables. You can simply call methods like this without doing like this. Right? Without doing like this. Here you need to reassign, but here you don't need to reassign. Okay. So that is the difference between the immutable strings behavior and mutable string builder and string buffer behavior. Okay. Any questions? So it's overcomplicated things. Right? Every language has good things and bad things. Sometimes you try to do a good thing and ended up as a bad thing. Right? Ended up as bad. පොඩි ළමයින්ට කවනවා නේද? ඒතර අම්මලා හිතන්නේ මේක හොඳ දෙයක් කියලා. කවණ එක. හරි? ඒතකොට එයා ඒක හොඳ හිතින් කරන්නේ. නමුත් අන්තිමට වෙන්නේ මොකද්ද? මේක අවුරුදු 25 වෙලක් තනියෙන් මෙලෝ මගුලක් කරගන්න තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. හරි? තනියෙන් මෙලෝ මගුලක් කරගන්න තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. Something like that. So therefore they did it for optimization, but then they found that it's a headache. Right? So therefore they introduced another class called string builder and string buffer, two classes. Okay. But most of the other languages, they have not done that optimization. Therefore, you don't need to worry about that. They don't care about optimization. They just every string object is allocated different memory locations. Okay. Right. So that is how it goes. And the other bad news is string class has different set of methods. String builder and string buffer has another set of methods. Okay. For example, string class has a method called toUpperCase. String builder class, you don't have that. String builder has some other methods like reverse and so on. It's real mess. Right? Real mess. By the way, whether you like it or not, when you use languages, there are pros and cons, good things and bad things. Okay. Right. Yeah, in string builder, every time you create a string builder, you create a new object. Every time. Even though your value is the same, it's a new object. Okay. But that reduces headaches when you work with the variables, though it takes more memory. Okay. But string, very rarely we go for the multiple variables with same values. So that is why I told you that this optimization is sort of a not very useful optimization. And it has created unnecessary complications rather than advantages. Okay. Because very rarely you have multiple variables with same value. Very rarely. Okay. Right. So now let's move to the string builder and string buffer. So string builder and string buffer. So this the issue with immutable nature of string class. So you need, if you call like this, still it is not changed. But if you call like this only, value is changed. But when you do this, actually there are two memory locations. One is looking at Java. The other memory location is capital Java. So therefore, when you do that, actually you waste more memory. Because now you have two memory locations. If you go for string buffer, this will be done in the same memory location. This will be done in the same memory location. Okay. So that is why we say when your values are going to be changed, go for string build or string buffer. When the values are not going to be changed, go for string. Okay. That is the sensible way of using. In string builder, is it creating a new object? Where? What do you mean by creating a new object? At which place? So you need to explain the question, then only I can give you an answer. Okay. So basically, when you call a method, it's the same object, same memory location when it comes to string build and string buffer. Because two objects are not going to look at the same string in string build and string buffer. Okay. Right. So these are the methods in some of the methods in string build and string buffer classes. Those are different from actually string class. So we have a method called append that will append another string to the end of your string. Insert, if you want to insert to a specific place. Delete, delete a specific portion of the string starting from this to this. And again, this is inclusive, this is exclusive. Reverse, that will reverse the string and so on. Okay. So these are some examples. So I just explained you the reverse method. Right? Reverse method I just explained. So similarly, you can understand the other methods as well. Right? So this is my string build object. Hello. I append world to this S1. Then if you print the S1, it will be hello world. Then I insert this string to the fifth location of this string. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so fifth location means this XX is added before W. Before W. Because this is the fifth location, not after, before. And delete fifth location to seventh location. Now my string is this one. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Remember, this is inclusive, this is exclusive. So this is also deleted, but seventh one is not deleted. So 5 to 7 means 5 and 6 is deleted. That means again these two X characters are deleted. Now it's back to hello world. Now of course we reverse it. Right? Reverse it. So likewise, string builder and string buffer classes have different methods than string method because string method has string class has certain method. They have decided, okay, let's introduce some other methods to the string builder and string buffer. Okay, that is also a little bit of a strange decision. So they should have copied all the methods of string or the especially two uppercase and two lowercase methods to the string builder and string buffer also. Ideally. Right. So then no one asked me why there are two classes. So I told you that string class has some practical problem. When values are keep on changing, it's headache to use and more memory is used. So then they introduce two classes, not one class. So then they should have introduced one class, right? When it is immutable, use string. When it is mutable, it may be use string builder. So then why do you have string builder and string buffer two classes? Actually, those two classes are identical. Right? Identical. So if I change this from string builder to string buffer, still it will work the same way. 100% the same, okay? 100% the same. String buffer. This one also string buffer. String buffer. I am getting error. Variable name is missing, okay? Say B, right? So it's going to behave the same way. So therefore, anytime you can change name from string builder to string buffer, okay? Or string buffer to string builder. So those are identical classes, exact identical methods are there. If there's a method in string buffer, the same method is in string builder. So then someone will ask, why do you need two classes? The simple reason is again something advanced concept. String builder is not thread safe, but marginally efficient, right? Than the string buffer. So thread safety you will understand when we do the thread programming. So there's a concept called parallel programming. Okay, so parallel threads running. Then there are some additional complications. So the idea is if you are doing thread programming or parallel programming, use string builder. But if you don't do that kind of concepts, use that kind of features, go for string buffer. Because string buffer is little bit faster to use than string builder. Right? So therefore, most of the time we use, if you are interested in thread programming, use string buffer because it is thread safe. If you are not interested in doing thread programming, string builder is good enough because string builder use little bit less resources. Okay. So again, in the normal statement is in general cases use string builder, but if you are planning to use that string or that object in thread programming, use string buffer. Okay. But other than that, there is no difference. Okay. Right. Don't worry too much about that. You will see this concept of thread safety again when we do collections also. Okay. That is sort of advanced concept. But anyway, two classes are there, string build and string buffer. So otherwise you don't know why. It's related to again performance. Okay. Performance optimization. Okay. I don't know what is you are talking about. Variable is string. So if you ask question, try to ask the full question, or you can talk. Okay. So if you ask half of the question in your mind and other half is written, I can't read your mind, unfortunately. So write the full question. Okay. Or you can just talk. Okay. You can just talk. Otherwise, of course, if you just ask the half of the question, I can't answer. Okay. Or maybe you are giving the answer also. Sorry for that. Okay. Maybe you are giving the answer. I don't know. Okay. Right. So that's it. So what is the summary? If your string is going to be changed over and over, don't use string, rather use string build or string buffer. But if your string is not going to change, like assign once and then only read it, use string. Right. And again, how do you decide whether string builder or string buffer? If you're going to use normal programming, go for string builder. But if you're planning to use thread programming, and of course the variables is going to change frequently, go for string buffer. Simple as that. Okay, simple as that. And string builder and string buffer has the exact identical uh, methods. Okay, exact identical methods. So what is thread? We will discuss when we do thread programming, which is which is a topic in the latter part of your talk. We will discuss that when we are doing thread programming. Okay, right. That's it. Any other question? Any other question? So thread programming is done in topic 25 multi-threading. Okay, still we have not come to that point. Right. So now we are done with string handling. If you don't have any questions. Okay, so let's continue. Right, so let's move on to our next topic, enumerations. Okay, enumerations. Right, enumerations is another concept that you can find in most of the programming languages, not only in Java. So enumerations allow you to create your own data types. Okay, data types. For example, when you use string data type, say string, say X, anyone can, so any value is allowed here. Something like hi, something like one, right? As long as set of characters, it is allowed. So there's no restriction. But there are situations, it's a set of characters, but we know exactly what are the possible values. For example, say colors. Say we only allow these three colors. Or say shirt size. Maybe only small, medium, large, extra large. Okay. So in that kind of a situation, if you go for string variable, we can't restrict the possible values because anything is allowed. So, but when you define a new data type called enumeration or enum, we can restrict the possible values. So that is better. That is better because we don't want unnecessary values, possibility of unnecessary values being assigned to a variable. So we want to restrict things, right? So that is where enumerations are going to work. Okay, right. So it's better type safety, right? We restrict the possible values. And enumerations, if you want, you can create like a normal class. Then you can use it anywhere. Or you can create it inside a class. So that means you are going to use that enumeration only within that class. It's better encapsulation, just like creating an inner class or nested class versus creating a normal class. So why do we create an inner class? Because that class is used only within our class. Same thing, if that enumeration is going to be used only by your class, create that enumeration inside the class. But if it is a general enumeration, you are going to use it in different phases, just create enumeration as a normal thing. Okay. Right. So let's straight away do it as exercise. So let's create a class. So let's say shirt. Okay, shirt. Now my shirt has price, say instance variable. Now let's say my shirt has a size. Okay. Maybe this is more related to t-shirts actually. Okay, so let's call it t-shirt. T-shirt. Right. Now my t-shirt is going to have a size. But if I go for string, anyone can assign anything for the size, but I want to restrict it. So therefore, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an enumeration, new type, enumeration type. Enum is a keyword, and you must specify what are the possible values. Say small, usually we go for capital letters, that is a convention. Okay, say medium, large, and maybe extra large. You need to give it a name also. Say enum, let's say size. Size. So that is a enumeration. That is a enumeration. Okay, so that I create my own data type. Okay, my own data type. The last one you must have the semicolon. Okay, so not here. For the last possible value, you need to have the semicolon. Why I'm getting that error? Anyway, I think it's a grammar spelling error. Okay, forget about that. Okay, right. So now I can create variables of this type, just like double, float, int, string. Now I have a new data type called size. Say size. I'll call it say S or whatever. So uh, S. Now you can see that I'm using that. Okay, I'm using that. Then of course you can have methods and so on. Now if I have a class called say t-shirt test. Okay, create a t-shirt object. Say PSVM t-shirt equal new t-shirt. And now I can set obviously the price, say 2000. And similarly, now I can set the size. Okay, size. That is my size. Size. Okay. But this must be a valid t-shirt size. So remember, I have a enumeration called size. Okay. That you need to refer like this. You need to say size dot your size value. Okay. Size dot your size value. That is how you refer to it. Okay. So therefore, this is size, of course, size is in the t-shirt class. Therefore, it is not independent enumeration. Okay. It's not independent enumeration. Something like this. Okay. So therefore, you need to say the class name, enumeration name, value, because it's inside the t-shirt class. So therefore, I need to say t-shirt dot size. So t-shirt dot size dot say medium. That is how you set it. Right? Why can't I set the size? Why can't I set the size? Yes, dot size. Let me double check. Okay, so I should be able to set the size. Label. This is not saved. No, it is saved. Let me run it and see the compiler. Cannot find symbol variable size. Why? Size is there. Why can't it find the variable size? Okay, so let's ask ChatGPT to find the error, because otherwise it will take more time. Because it looks like the code is correct. What is the error? And fix it. See whether ChatGPT identify the issue. Declared inside t-shirt class, but it is not declared as static. Therefore, it cannot be accessed using t-shirt size. You need to declare the enum as static. Accessible, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yes. So you need to declare it as a static. And then only you can use it. Yeah. So you need to declare your data type, this data type as a static variable. I think that is missing in my note also. Okay. Yeah. Because I'm going to refer to it using uh, class name, it must be a static variable, right? Otherwise, I should have make it something like ts.size. ts.size, is it going to work? No, it's not going to work. Yeah, so I have to, if you define it inside the class, you need to define it as a static variable, static. Then only you can use it somewhere here. Okay. So then I can say t-shirt size, t-shirt. But still this issue is there, right? This issue is solved, but what about this issue? T-shirt, static enum size, public double price sizes. But I wrote this code, but still I'm getting there. ts.s.
Excuse me, sir. The
Yes.
variable is S,
Sorry.
not size. Variable is S, not size.
Ah, yes. Variable is S. Correct. Yeah. Variable is S. Sorry for that. Yeah. That is issue. Thank you. Okay. Variable is S, not size. I think now without, can we see whether without static it work? Maybe it may work. Let's see. Yeah. So without static also it works. The issue is here. Issue is here. Yeah. Thank you for that. Otherwise, I may be blind to that error. Okay. Yeah. So the variable is S. So therefore, you need to set the variable of S to this. Actually, making it static is not a must also. Right. So now, of course, you can do your processing or whatever. And if later, if you want to type, find the price, you can check the price. And also, if you want to find what is the size, different objects, you can have different sizes. Okay. Dot test. So let's run and see. Right. It says 2000 and medium. Now the advantage is, for the size variable, you can't set whatever you like. For example, you can't say it is high. It is not going to accept. But if your variable is a string, someone can say size is high. So that is what is meant by type safety. Type safety. Okay. So now we have restricted the possible value for this S variable is, are only these values. And again, you need to refer to the enumeration name, uh, and then the possible value. Okay. So that is how you use enumerations, enums. Okay. Enums. Okay. Right. So that is, we use declare the enumeration inside the class. Inside the class. But if you create the enumeration outside the class, it can be used anywhere. Right? It can be used anywhere without. Now remember, whenever you use the size variable, you refer to t-shirt because it's encapsulated. But if that means, of course, that is fine because I plan to use this concept called size only within t-shirt. But if you are going to use it outside t-shirt also, you better create a different, separate enumeration. So you can start with Java class. Sorry. Uh, Say I am going to use this concept not only for t-shirts, some other, concepts also. So I'll call it, just the type. Okay. Type, or, say cloth type. So we are going to use it not only for t-shirt, we are going to use it for different other type of clothes as well. So therefore I'll call it cloth type. I will call it a enumeration. It will be created as a separate class, separate file, and it's a public enum. Right. So now you can define your values. I will say, first one is say formal. The second one is maybe, casual. Casual. Formal and casual. Now this can be used directly, without referring to the, now here whenever I use the, size, I need to refer to t-shirt because it's encapsulated within t-shirt. But for example, if I take my t-shirt class, I can have another variable, uh, of type cloth type, right? Cloth type, say CT. Now cloth type, I can set say TS dot cloth type, TS dot, you can say cloth type dot CT. That is, I can just say cloth type, say formal or casual. Because you don't, now here size, I always refer to t-shirt dot size, but cloth type, I can just refer independently because it's an independent, enumeration, right? It's a independent, enumeration. You can use it without referring to any other class. Okay. So that is the difference between creating an independent enumeration versus creating enumeration inside a class. So if it is inside a class, anyway, you can use it, but yeah, you need to refer to it using the class name, right? Class name, t-shirt, size, but here just the cloth type. Okay. Right. That's it about enumerations. It's a very small topic. CT. Opposite will be casual. Now I can't assign anything other than casual or formal for the CT variable. Okay. Right. So let me copy this code. I did not copy the code for the string because I did not do a lot of coding, but I will share this code. Oops. $11. Actually, this is 12. Enums. 11, I did not do any coding, right? Right. Right. So that's it about enumeration. There are some advanced concepts like having constructors in enumerations and so on. I just did not add those. Actually, those were there in your note. I just removed because otherwise I feel like if you learn too many things, sometimes you feel like it is too much, right? Syllabus is too big. Therefore, I just added only the minimum essential. Okay. Right. So our next topic is wrapper classes. Right. Wrapper classes. Okay. And so let me delete these classes. Right. So what are wrapper classes? So let me open the note. Right. So remember we have primitive data types. Right. Byte, short, int, long for whole numbers, char for character, boolean for a boolean. And then for string, we had three classes: string, string builder, string buffer. But those are not primitive types. Those are classes. So the advantage of using classes is, so now we have two options. Are we using primitive types, or are we going to use class type or reference type, object type? For example, string builder, string buffer. Here, byte, short, int, long, char, boolean, so on. So there are pros and cons. If you use primitive types, it needs less resources for variable, just the memory, right? Less resources. But if you use a wrapper, the class type or object type, it needs little bit more resources. Little bit more resources. But it gives you more features. Like for example, string class, it has given you some methods, string buffer methods, append, reverse. Okay. So therefore, when you go for object types, it gives you more features, but little bit more resources are needed. And there's another advantage if you go for an object type or the class type or reference type, what you create are objects. What you create are objects. So therefore, objects support object-oriented concepts like inheritance, polymorphism, and so on. But your primitive variables, they are not objects. So therefore, as a variable level, they are not supporting object-oriented concepts. Okay. And there are situations we need those additional features. That is why string is a class, string builder is a class, string buffer is a class. And there are situations it is good to be an object because it supports object-oriented concepts. And that is where we have the wrapper class. Actually, wrapper classes have two advantages. Wrapper classes can provide some additional features to that data type. And also, Once you use a wrapper class, your variable is object. So it can be used for object-oriented concepts. Okay, so the object-oriented concepts can be used for those variables. Okay, so that is how they came up with the wrapper classes. So initially, when they introduced Java in 1990s, uh, only the primitive types were there, like byte, int, short, and so on. But later on, I think around after about 3-4 years afterwards, they in a JDK version they introduced wrapper classes. That means for each primitive type, they introduce a corresponding class type or reference type or object type. So we call them wrapper classes. Wrap, you know what is mean by wrap? Wrap කරනවා කියන්නේ ඔතන කොලයකින් හරි මොකක් හරි wrapping papers තියෙනවා. tag එකකින් උතන. Okay. So these are the wrapper classes or wrapper types, basically wrapper classes. So each primitive type has a wrapper type. Each primitive type has a wrapper type. Most of the cases, your wrapper type is having the same name as primitive type. Only thing is start with capital letter. Byte, byte, short, short. But there are two exceptional situations. That is int and char. The wrapper type has slightly different name. The wrapper type for int is integer. Wrapper type for char is character. But all the other cases, the same name, but start with capital. Okay, start with capital. Okay. So therefore, every primitive type has a corresponding wrapper type. Right. So remember your primitive type, primitive variable, primitive data type is a primitive, wrapper type is an object. That variable is also object. Remember string is object. String variables are object. That is why we can call the behaviors or methods of that object. Like reverse, to uppercase and so on. So similarly, your wrapper classes have given some methods for your wrapper objects to do certain things, which gives you a lot of flexibility. But if you are not, if you just want a variable and keep a value and later read it, go for primitive type, int, byte, short, right? But if your variable you are going to do a lot of conversions and so many other things, then only go for wrapper types. And also, if you are planning to keep your variables in collections like list, set, map, maybe you can go for collections. Sorry, you can go for wrapper types. Otherwise, by default, use primitive type. If you really need only go for wrapper type because primitive types are going to work for most of the time and it needs less resources. Okay. Right. And the other thing is because these wrapper types are heavily used these days, you can automatically convert between wrapper type to a corresponding primitive type and primitive type to a wrapper type. We call it auto boxing and auto unboxing. Okay. Auto boxing and unboxing. Okay. Right. So let's take an example. So this one, you better do it as a practical thing as much as possible. Let me close this because it's using too much of resources. So I create a class called wrapper demo. Wrapper class demo. So let's have a main method. This is the third topic we are doing today. Right. So let's say I have a variable int, say a, say equal 10. So this is a primitive variable a. But if you need a wrapper variable, so you can say integer, say b equal. Remember, wrappers are classes. So therefore, if you want, you can do like this: new integer and give the parameter your literal. So that is perfectly okay. Right? So this is a primitive variable called a int. This is a proper type for int called integer, variable called b. Okay. Here you can't use the object notation because it is not object, but this is object. Okay. But because wrappers are also very frequently used, just like string, so they have allowed you to do like this. That is again because these are heavily used. Right? You can say something like this: integer c equal say 12. Right? So this is the same feature that the string support. Of course, integer is a class, but because these are heavily used, they have allowed you to use it like this to make your life easy. Now, here what happens is 12 is int literal. It's not a integer literal, int literal, but that value is automatically converted to integer 12. So that is called auto boxing. Auto boxing. You don't need to do any specific thing. Right? And also, if you have an int variable, still you can do it. Say I have an integer, say d, I can simply assign a. Of course, a is an int variable, but I can assign it to integer. So both the cases we call this auto boxing. Auto boxing. Okay. Another way also possible. That is called unboxing. Unboxing. Now these features are given to make your life easier. Okay. Uh, right. Say I have an int variable. Sorry, I have a say wrapper object. Say integer. Of course, since I already use integer, I will use something else. Say double. That is a wrapper for double. Okay, I will call it E equal say 12.7. So that is a wrapper. Of course, this is auto boxing actually. 12.7 is a primitive double aside. That is actually auto boxing, but I can do the other way. Now, if I have a double variable, say f, I can simply say equally. So that is unboxing. Actually, this is unboxing. Right? So this is actually auto boxing again, but this is unboxing. Okay, that is your wrapper type is assigned to a compatible primitive type. So you don't need to do any conversion; it is automatically happening. Okay, so that is called unboxing. So auto boxing means your primitive variable can be assigned to a wrapper variable, or primitive literal can be assigned to a wrapper variable. So you know that there's an incompatibility because this is a wrapper, this is primitive. But it is allowed. It is allowed. So that allowing primitive variable to assign to a wrapper object is called auto boxing. But of course, it must be compatible. Another way, assigning a wrapper object to a primitive variable, compatible primitive variable is called unboxing. So E is a double wrapper object, but I can assign it to a double primitive variable. So that is called unboxing. Okay. So it's automatically allowed because those things are frequently used. Okay. Right. So then when you need object, use wrapper object. When you don't need object, just you want to keep a value and later retrieve it, use primitive data type. Right? It depends on your requirement. Right? And as I told you, the classes can give you more features. Right? Classes can give you more features. Okay, let me get back to just like string class give you two uppercase, trim, and so on. Wrapper classes also have given you some features. Okay, let me open the other note. So just like string has given you some methods, wrapper classes has given you some methods, especially to do conversion between data types. Okay, so I will show you some of these features. So of course, this is how you create a wrapper object without creating the using the object notation. That is usually auto boxing, because this is a int literal you assign to integer variable, integer object, or you can create the object like this. And of course, the integer and all the wrapper classes, their constructors are all ordered to support string also, but make sure that string is a valid value. You can't just create integer with high. That will give you runtime error. Okay. So then I told you that wrapper you can automatically assign to a primitive, but okay, automatically you can convert it to primitive. But if you want to do it explicitly, there are methods like float value, double value, especially if you want to assign it to a different data type. Right? So now A is a float. Of course, you can straight away assign B2 equal A. That is unboxing. But if you want, that object has a method called float value, int value, especially if you want to convert it to a different type, that help. For example, uh, something like this. Say I have a float uh, G equal 12.7. Right? Okay. F must be there. Okay. Now I have an int variable. Say EF G H. Can I assign G like this? You can't. Why? Because now float cannot be directly assigned to int, because then you need to do casting. Because float has a decimal value, int doesn't have decimal value. One option is maybe you can cast it. But casting also doesn't work here, because casting work for primitive to primitive. But this is not a primitive, this is wrapper. Now, how can I convert my G wrapper object to primitive int? So there's a way. Because casting doesn't work, then your float class has a method called int value. Right? Int value. So it will give the integer part. Right? So likewise, so there are convenient methods for you to do the conversions. Basically, the methods are to do easily convert from one type to other type. Right? It's float to int and so on. Of course, it must be compatible. No point converting float to Boolean. Okay. So likewise, there are methods also available. So don't worry too much about those things. So just remember, why do we need wrapper classes? There are situations objects are better than primitive. And also these objects can provide some convenient methods for type conversions and so on. And when they introduce the wrapper classes, they introduce auto boxing and auto unboxing, so that you can freely assign wrapper to a compatible primitive, primitive to a compatible wrapper. Okay, right, that's it. Okay, that's it. So I just do the minimum required, right? I'm not going to do any advanced things related to these concepts, right? Because I told you the most important thing, topics are now done. These are anyone can learn by yourself, right? Without anyone's help. If you have your foundations correctly layout, okay. When you have proper foundation, rest of the stuff is self studies. So let's move on to collections. Okay, collections. Right. So remember when we work with data, when you want single variable to keep multiple data, so the way to go is one approach is use arrays, right? Use arrays. Okay, let me explain it using practical example. Uh, for it wrapper collections demo. Again, I will try to explain you the minimum essential, nothing much. Say if you want single variable, you can go for something like this. Say int a equal 10, but you can keep only one value at a time. Different times, of course, you can keep different values, but one value at a time. So if you want to keep multiple values in a single variable, so you can go for something like array. Okay. So then you can say 10, 20, 40, and so on. Right? So then using the index, you can refer to a specific value, right? S out, say A0. That is the zeroth element, and it will be 10, and so on. You can change and so on, okay? So that is arrays. That is arrays. So there's alternative. So this is array. The alternative is use of collection framework in Java. So collection framework has given you some classes. Now you can see there's a pattern, right? So this is the primitive way, right? Just like int, you have the integer. Integer is object. Int is a primitive. Integer has bit of more features. So similarly, either you can go for array. Array is object, but you don't get a lot of features. But if you need more features and you want to keep multiple data, the alternative approach is you can create a collect. You can there are classes in Java, built-in classes we can use. For example, I can create a list. Of course, list class is in Java util package. Uh, so those other classes like integer, string builder, string buffer, float, double, wrapper classes, all were in Java lang package. So therefore, we were able to use without importing anything. But collection framework is in Java util package, not the Java lang package. So therefore, you need to import and use it. Right? Of course, when you write, the import will be done by your IDE. Right? So list is, let's say L1 equal new. You need to pick one of the list type like linked list, array list, and so on. Let's say array list. Then of course you can say L1 dot add, say 10. I'm creating a alternative way. I'm creating this array now. Right? L1 dot add maybe 20. And keep adding. Right? 30. Okay. Now if I want to print, say L1 dot say get. Like get. I want the zeroth element. So the zeroth element is 10, right? So let's see whether it's 10. Yes, it is 10. So you can see either you can go for array like this. Right? Array like this, that is not collection framework. Right? Use of arrays. Or you can use collections. Use of collections. Then again, how do you decide? So if your objectives is just to assign values to a variable, set of values to a variable and later retrieve, or maybe just change the values then and there using the index, arrays are perfectly okay because it is not using too many resources and so on, right? But if you need additional features, right, go for collect one of the collections like array list, maps, sets, and so on. Again, if arrays are going to work, just use it. But if you need additional features and those features are supported by these classes, use those classes. That is the policy. Okay. And when you add, if you want, you can add it to a particular index also. For example, I can say L1 dot add. You can say index and the object. Right? I can say to the say 0, 1, 2 is already used now, because by default it will add it to the next available index. The next available index is actually 0, 1, 2, 3, but I will say 4 at say 50. Okay, 50. Now if I print what is the value of the fourth index, okay, fourth index, right? Oh, why I'm getting that error? So it has not added to the fourth index. Why is that? Which line I'm getting the error? When I add, I get the error, right? Not that is because now I try to skip the index, right? I think that is the issue. So let's say I'm adding it to the third one, and I try to access the third one. I think I skip the index because the next index should have been third, 0, 1, 2, 3. Right now, let's see whether I get there. Right now, no issue. Still, you can't skip. Still, you can't skip because it's a zeroth element, first element, second element. Next element must be third element. But if you don't specify the index, it will be the next element, right? But if you specify the element, it must be the next element. Otherwise, you get the error. Okay. And also, if you try to access the fourth element, there's no fourth element. Okay. Because I have not added further. Third element I can access, but what happens if I try to access the fourth element? Again, index out of bound exception. It is not array index out of bound exception because this is not array. Still, it is index out of bound exception. There's no such index available. Okay. It's runtime error. So you must know what are the errors also if you are planning to get a good A++, or have a career in IT or software development. Okay. So you can see this is also internally array. That is why we call it array list. But we have convenient methods to add, get, right? You can see more features are there. More features are there. But here you just specify the value and just read the value. But if it is good enough, use arrays. But if you need more features, use a proper collection. Okay. Right. I hope you got the basic idea of what is a collection. It's a collection framework. That means not just one class. We have set of classes for different with different features. Okay. Right. So now you should have some idea. Now I can explain you with more things. So this is how the Java collection framework work. Right. It has set of interfaces. Remember we discussed about interfaces and the implementations. For example, list is an interface. Array list is an implementation. So therefore, I wrote it like list A equal new array list. Because this must be a class. This can be a class or interface, but this must be a class. Okay. If you want, you can here also you can say new array list. But here it's always one of the class. Here you never say list because you can't create object of interfaces. Okay. So now if you really want to understand why there are, now I told you on the list interface, there are different implementations available. Right? For example, if you look at list, list interface, you can see there are 4 implementations. Array list implementation, all are Java has implemented these things. Okay. Linked list, vector, and there's a subclass of vector called stack. Similarly, there's another interface called collect queue. There's implementation called priority queue. There's another interface called set. It has 3 implementation: hash set, link hash set, or tree set. So here, if you want to create a set, you can say set, say x equal new. You can't say new set because it's interface, maybe hash set, or maybe tree set, or maybe link hash set. So this type, here you must have a class. Here you can have a class like this or interface. Okay. So then someone will ask, of course, critical thinkers will ask why they have implemented three different classes for this interface. For this interface, three different classes and then subclass of this class. For this one, just one implementation. Right? So all these classes have the same methods, right? Because they have implemented the list interface. If list interface specify a method, that method is available in any of these classes. If a set interface specify a method, those methods are available in any of these implementations. But the implementation is done in different ways. So here internally it is array. The list is implemented internally as array. So therefore array list is pretty much like array. Only thing is we have a little bit more convenience to use the array using different methods. But if you create a linked list, internally it's a linked list, something like this. You will learn about linked list as a data structure in semester 3 when you learn data structures and algorithms. It's a linked list. Right? So, but features are the same. For example, I can straight away go and still this is list. I can change from array list to linked list. Right? Linked list. Okay. Linked list. Why I'm getting error? Linked list. Right. Right. So now you can see that. Now let's see whether I can run it. Okay. So I just change the implementation because linked list also has implemented the list interface. Right. Let's run it. I got the same answers, right? Same answers. So this is 0th element is 10. Okay. The third element, no, not the same answer, right? Different answer, right? So this is the 10th. I have added 10, 20, 30. So my 0th element is 10. This is my third element, 0, 1, 2, 3. No, sorry, this one is from array, right? 10th element, that is 0th element is 10 in array. And this is my 0th element, which is 10. And my third element is 0, 1, 2, 3, which is 50. Okay. Only thing is internally, this is implemented differently. So you will understand what is linked list in semester 3 when you learn data structures and algorithms. Okay. So if you do a Google search, linked list. So you can see it's a nodes linked to another node, something like this. So the internal implementation is different. Right? Internal implementation is different, but it's also list. Right? So don't worry about, for the time being, don't worry about whether I should use linked list or array list, right? So those things you will understand when you do semester 3 other topics like data structures and algorithms, okay? This is not the end of the story, okay? But just remember, Java has given you those facilities. Java has given you those facilities, flexibility to decide whether to use array list, linked list, vector, and so on. And when it comes to set, whether to use hash set, link hash set, or tree set, and so on. Okay. So is that interface are also classes? No, interfaces are not classes. So if you want to understand the difference between interface and class, you can refer to the recordings of the object-oriented programming. I think we did it not last week, week before that, before exception handling and inner classes. Right. So interface define, it's a contract. It's a contract saying, I will support these behaviors. And this is your implementation of those. And even you can implement a list interface by your own class and add it to your collection framework and use it. That is what is meant by reusable coding, right? Right. So don't worry too much about what is the difference between array list, linked list, vector, and so on. Okay. Don't worry too much about those things. But I will give you a little bit of a summary. Okay. But you must know the difference between list and queue and set and so on. And there's another class in the collection framework called map. Another class in the framework called map, which we will take separately, right? Because it is somewhat different behavior is there. Okay. So again, I try to give you the minimum required. Okay. So actually, this note I will come up with a new note because this is in the Word format. I want to put it into the PowerPoint and make it a little bit more simpler. Okay. Simpler. Okay. Why 3 is not in the output in last linked list has only 50? What is that question? Why 3 is not in the input? No, this is the index. So what you get is the value. Third index has 50. So therefore, we are getting here also, it's a 0 index, we have 10. So that is why it is not 0, rather 10. And similarly, it is not 3. The third index has 50. So that is why you are getting 50. I think that answers your question, right? So what we are getting is we are giving the index and getting the value. Getting the value. Okay. That is why you are getting like that. Okay. Right. Right. Now, when it comes to linked list, so let's first finish the linked list. Then we'll move on to the next one and next one. Okay. So there are different implementations. What are those? Array list, vector, linked list. Array list, vector, linked list. Stack we can take separately because it's a special case. So basically, array list and vectors are pretty much the same implementation, internally implemented as array. Internally implemented as array. Array list and vectors behave identically, internally also. So then someone will ask why two? Again, the reason is one class is thread safe, other one is not thread safe. Just like string build and string buffer. Right? String build and string buffer. Okay. So one class is thread safe, little bit slow. Other one is not thread safe, but faster. So in general cases, we use array list. Okay. But if you go for thread programming only, you go for vector. Okay. So that is the only difference. Otherwise, it's just pretty much the same implementation. So the linked list implementation is different. Internally, it is kept in a different manner using linked list. That is the only difference. Other than that, whether it's array list or vector or linked list, for you, the behavior will be the same. Only thing is internally, how the data is kept is different. So therefore, as a software developer, if you are very much concerned about the performance and other things, only you care about going for array list or vector or linked list. Otherwise, you can just use one of those. Okay. At your level, just use one of those because still you are not getting into the advanced concepts. Okay. So you can see array list more efficient, but not thread safe. But vector less efficient, but thread safe. So very rarely we do thread programming. So therefore, almost all the time we use array list. Okay. And these are some of the methods available in list interface. If it is available in list interface, it is available in any of these classes. Array list, vector, linked list, whatever. Okay. So already we use add. Just add the object to add to a particular index. Okay. So then there's a method called clear that will remove all the objects, which is very convenient. Then you can check whether a particular object is there in the collection or list. Okay. You can get the object by giving the index. We already use it. We can give the object and ask what is the index of that. Say what is the index of object 20? Whether my list is empty. So those features are not there if you use array. Right? But when you use a collection, you can just call a behave method and get those values. So that is why When you need those features, go for collections. Otherwise, use arrays because most of the time you just put it to the array, take it from array. You don't check whether particular value is there. You don't want to clear everything. So then use arrays. Okay. So last index of you can remove object by index, or you can remove object by the object itself. You can at any time you can ask what is the size of the array, your list. You can convert it to array at any time, right? If you want to get an array from your list. So don't take too seriously about these things. Usually examiners, they don't ask much about those things. They just check whether are you aware of the collection framework, what are the classes, maybe just a method like add, get, clear, simple methods like that. Okay? Simple methods like that. Of course, rarely they can ask because ඒගොල්ලන්ට හැමෝටම A+ දෙන්න කැමතිත් නැහැ examiner. ඉඳලා හිටලා ඕනනම් ඒකයි question එකක්. හැබැයි ඒ question එකට කියලා කටපාඩම් කරන්න යන්න එපා. ඊට වැඩිය හොඳයි පුළුවන් තරම් ලකුණු ගන්න object orientation වගේ පොඩි පොඩි දේවල් වලින්. හරි. ඔයා ලකුණු ගන්නකොට බලන්න ඕන ගොඩක් මහන්සි වෙලා ඒ ලකුණ ගන්නවද ගොඩක් කටපාඩම් කළා නැත්නම් ආත් concept එකක් තේරුම් ගත්තට පස්සේ මුළු පළාතකම ලකුණු වලට එනවා. මොකද මේ concept එක තේරුම් නැත්නම් අර පළාතක් තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒතර ඔයාට ඒක A+ එක දෙන්නේ 95 වලින් මිසක් 100 වලින් නෙමෙයිනේ. ඒක දෙන්නේ 90 වලින්. ඒතර ලකුණු පහ ගැන ඕනට වැඩි වරිය වෙන්න එපා. ඔයා හැමතිස්සෙම බලන්න 90ට 95ට යන්නේ. 90 100ක් ගන්න try කරන්න එපා. හරි. පස්සේ 100ක් ගත්තත් හම් වෙන්නේ A+ එකක්. 95ක් ගත්තත් හම් වෙන්නේ A+ එකක්. ඔයා try කරන්න 95ක් 94ක් ගන්න. හරි. 95ක් 94ක් A එකක් A+ එකක් ගන්න. And also when it comes to GPA calculation, both A and A+ has the same weight. A එකක් වුණත් A+ එකක් වුණත් එකම weight එක දෙන්න ඕන. වැඩියෙන් class average එකට එකතු කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාලට A එකක්ද A+ එකක්ද කියන එක ඔයාගේ හිතට විතරයි තියෙන්නේ. නැතුව ඒක okay, I will show you that also. This is your GPA values. You can see. So if you get A+, your grade point value is 4. Grade point value is 4. If you get A, still 4. So that means whether you, so now you can see sorry, not 95, 85, sorry, not 95. So whether you get 85 or 95 or 99 for the class, it is the same way. Same way. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාලට 99ක් ගත්තත් 85ක් ගත්තත් එකම ප්‍රමාණයට තමයි ඔයාලට weight එක දෙන්නේ. So therefore, don't try to get 99. Try to get, of course, try to get something somewhere around 90. 90ක් ගන්න try කරන්න. මොකද 99ක් ගත්තත් හම්බෙන්නේ A+ එකක්, 90ක් ගත්තත් හම්බෙන්නේ A+ එකක්. හරි? 90ක් ගත්තත් හම්බෙන්නේ A+ එකක්. ඒ විතරක් නෙමෙයි. ඔයාට 71ක් ගන්න, 70ක් ගත්තත් හම්බෙන්නේ 4. 90ක් ගත්තත් හම්බෙන්නේ 4 because A also has the same weight. මේවත් බලලා තියාගන්න ඕනේ. හරි. ඒතකොට යුනිවර්සිටි එක කියන්නේ ඔය 70ක් ගත්තත් 90ක් ගත්තත් 90ක් ගත්තා කියලා ඔයාලට වැඩි සලකන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද ඔයාගේ ක්ලාස් ඇවරේජ් එක කැල්කියුලේට් කරද්දී ඒත් 4යි මේකත් 4යි. නැත්නම් මේක වෙනස් කරන්න තියන්නේ නේද? මේකට 4ක් දීලා 4.5 දෙන්න තියෙනවා නේම දීලා නැහැ. ඒතර මේ ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාව නිකන් 99ක 95කට try කරවන්නේ නැහැ ඒක. ඕගොල්ලෝ කියන්නේ ඔයා ගන්න. sorry 85ට වඩා. 70ට වඩා. මොකද 70 to 84 is A. A is also 4. So therefore if you get 71, you get GPV value of 4. GPV value of 4. එතකොට බලන්න 70 80 කරගන්න එක නෙමෙයි බලන්න ඕන. හරි. වෙන සබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක් තියෙනවා නම් 60 ගණන් වල එයාව පුළුවන් නම් 70 කරගන්න. එතකොට ඔයාලට හැම එකටම 4 4 ඇවිල්ලා දන්නේ නැතුව ෆස්ට් ක්ලාස් එකක හම්බෙලා. ෆස්ට් ක්ලාස් ගන්න අය try කරන්න ඕනේ 90 ඒව ගන්න. ෆස්ට් ක්ලාස් ගන්න අය try කරන්න ඕනේ කීයද? 75 ඒව ගන්න. මොකද සබ්ජෙක්ට් හතරටම 75 75 ගන්න එක වටිනවා. සබ්ජෙක්ට් දෙකකට 90 අරගෙන ඉවල අනිත් සබ්ජෙක්ට් වලට 55 65 ගන්නවට වඩා. මොකද 75 75 ගත්ත කියන ඔයාලට ඊට වැඩි මැක් නේද? ඊට වැඩි ලොකු ලකුණක් නැහැ. නේද? හතරට වඩා ලොකු ලකුණක් නැහැ නේද? හතර හම්බ වෙනවනේ 71 දී. 70 දී හම්බ වෙනවා. So even when you get 70, you get 4 because that is how you calculate GPA. ඊට පස්සේ කවුරුත් අහන්නේ නැහැ ෆස්ට් ක්ලාස් එකක් තියෙනකොට ෆස්ට් ක්ලාස් එකේ A කීයක් තියුණාද කියලා. බය ගන්නවට ෆස්ට් ක්ලාස් එකක් තියෙනවාද එච්චරයි. හරි. ෆස්ට් ක්ලාස් එකක් තියෙනවා නම් ෆස්ට් ක්ලාස්. ආයෙ තියෙන A+ ද A ද කියලා කවුරුත් හොයන්නේ නැහැ. So be strategic. Be strategic. හරි. එතකොට අර ඒ ලකුණ වෙනුවෙන් මැරෙනවට වඩා සමහරට වෙන සබ්ජෙක්ට් එකක නැත්නම් වෙන ටොපික් එකක පලාතක් කව වෙන්න පුළුවන් වලට. හරි. කොම්පිටිෂන් ස්ට්‍රැටජික් වෙන්න ඕන. ඔයාගේ ඉලක්ක වලට යන්න ඕන. So you must reach your objectives but without much effort. That is what is the strategic decision making. Strategic decision making. මතකද මම අර past papers කරද්දී. හරි. සමහරවිට මම මේක say there are 5 answers. So I am very sure that these 2 are wrong. All these 3 are wrong. Right? මම හොඳටම දන්නවා දැන් මේ තුන වැරදි කියලා. But I am not very sure whether both are correct or one is correct. So then what I do? I mark all. Because if one is correct, the other one is wrong. If I mark the other one, I get 0. But if I mark both, I get +1 minus 1/4. I always get 3 out of 4. That is what is strategic decision making. එතකොට මට එකකට ගහන එකට වඩා වාසි දෙකටම ගහලා එන එක. දෙකටම ගහුවා මට අනිවාර්යෙන් 4 3ක් හම්බ වෙනවා. I guarantee කොයි එකට මේ දෙකෙන් කොයි එකට උත්තරේ මාක් කරත් 4 3ක් හම්බ වෙනවා. හැබැයි ඔය හරි එක කියලා හිතාගෙන වැරදි එකට ගහුවොත් එහෙම ඔයාලට බිඳුවයි හම්බ වෙනවා. That is strategic. මේකත් ඒ වගේ තමයි ඉතින් හරි. A day plus කියන එක ඔයාගේ confidence එකට හොඳයි. නමුත් අනිත් අයට ওই දෙකේ වෙනසක් නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලෝ ඒකට 4 දීලා තියෙන හැමෝටම. Okay. plan කළා කරන්න ඕන. සමහරු කරන්නේ කරලි වල ලැබෙන දේ බාර ගන්නවා. නෑ එහෙම නෙමෙයි. ඔයාට ඕන දේට ඔයා යන්න ඕන. ඔයාට ඕන දේ යන්න කරනවා. මේ සමහරු ජොබ් එකක් ගම හම්බෙච්ච ජොබ් එකක් කරනවා. ටීචින් කරන්න සමහරු ටීචින් කරන්න නෙමෙයි ඉඳලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ ටීචින් කරනවා දැන්. වෙන මොනාරි කරන්න හිටපු මිනිස්සයා වෙන දැන් ගොවි සහායකයෙක් වෙලා. නැත්තම් ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම් කාර්යාලයක. හම්බෙච්ච දෙයක් කරනවා. හම්බුනේ මොනපත් වීමද කරනවා. එහෙම බෑ. මම දන්නේ එහෙම කැමති අය කරන්න. අපිට නම් එහෙම නෙවෙයි තිබුණා අපිට පොඩි කාලේදී ඉලක්කයක් තිබුණා. අපිට මෙහෙම කෙනෙක් වෙන්න ඕන. අපි ඒ වෙනුවෙන් වැඩ කරනවා. අපිට ඕන තැන දේ තමයි අපි ලබා ගන්න. අපිට දෙන දෙයක් බාර ගන්නෙ නැහැ. දෙන දෙයක් බාර ගන්න අවශ්‍යතාවයක් නැහැ නේද? අපිට ඕන දේවල් අපි කර ගන්නවා මිස. අපිට ඕන තැනට අපි යනවා මිසක් යන තැනක ගිහලා බැස්සුවම එතනින් බැහැලා බලන් ඉන්න බෑ. හරි දෙන දෙයක් දී කාලා නේද? එහෙම බලන් ඇටිටියුඩ් එකක් කම නන්දන අපිට නෑ. ඕකේ. හැබැයි ඉතින් මහන්සි වෙන්න ඕන. තමන්ට ඕන දේවල් කරගන්න මහන්සි වෙන්න ඕන. කට අරගෙන බලන් හිටියොත් දෙන දෙයක් බාර ගන්න යනවා. හරි. හැබැයි මහන්සි වෙනකොට ස්ට්‍රැටජික් වෙන්න. එතකොට අඩු මහන්සියකින් ඒක අචීව් කරගන්න පුළුවන්. Right? So therefore, don't memorize all the methods. Go through some past papers and see whether they have asked about these methods. Right? Which method they are interested. Right? So then concentrate on that. Okay. Right? So now I hope you have a reasonable understanding about list. Right? List. Get method, size method. You can try out these. Is empty. Now, for example, if I ask is empty, definitely it must say false because my list is not empty. ඒක ඔයා කළා බත් ආසනම් මේව දැනගන්න ඕන නම් say L1 dot is empty. Definitely it must say not because I have about 3 objects. False. But initially if I ask before adding any element, yes, it should say at this point it is empty. Because I just created the list. Right? So it is true. This is coming from the array, okay? This is coming from the array. Right? And of course, remember we discussed about array friendly for loop. So same for loop you can use for collections also. Okay, collections also. So if I want to iterate my array list or my list, now of course it is not array list, it's a linked list. I can use the array friendly for loop for But remember, when we create the list, when you create an array, you need to give the data type. So that is another point you need to notice. Whenever you create an array, you must give the data type, and only that data type is allowed. If it is int array, you can't have something like 20.5. Error. Error, because 20.7 is not a int. But there's no such issue or no such enforcement to list, because I don't specify the data type. So therefore, I can say this is maybe 30.5, 30.6. Not only that, even I can say this is hello, because no types restriction. So in a way it is good, in a way it is bad. Right? In a way it is good, in a way it is bad. Okay. කාටට කියනවා එක හොඳයි කියලා. තව කෙනෙක්ට කියනවා නරකයි කියලා. මතකනේ අපි type safety ගැන කතා කරා. So if you consider type safety, this is bad. But if you want a very general behavior, this is good. Again, I can't say good or bad. It depends on your requirement. Okay. So therefore, when you create a list like this without enforcing the data type, when you iterate, you must assume that what you get is objects, because object is the general data type in the super type, the ultimate super type for any object. So therefore, you need to say something like this: object, say x colon x or whatever variable name. Your list name is L1. Now you can print or whatever. Say x. I'll just say s out. Iterate list. List start. Iterate list end. I will make it print, okay? So that I print it in the same line, but I will have a space. Okay. Something like this. Now let's run and see. Then අපි එක එක දේවල් දෙනවා. hello ඉන්නවා 30.6 ඉන්නවා. ඔය කොහමද ඉන්නවා සහයෝගයෙන්. Okay. So this is I think we need a print ln here. Or maybe we can have /n, okay? Then /n දාන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. Or it is the other way, other side name. /n එක ගන්න. No, correct, right? /n means new line. Okay, so we can iterate. But only thing is, because there's no type safety here, when you iterate, make sure you take it as objects. Then, of course, if you want, you can cast it to whatever time. Okay. Right. So that is how we work with list. So there's another type of collection called right. So there's another type of collection called set. Okay, set. But before moving to set, if you want to enforce type safety, now here no type safety is there. You can add strings, the decimal values, integers, whatever. So if you want to enforce type safety, there's a way to do that. Okay, so this is how you do it. Say list, I'll call it L2 equal new, let's create array list. Okay, but this time I will give the data type in this notation. Greater than and lesser than mark, I will say int, so integer. It must be a class, an integer. So integer. So you need to specify in both the places, here and here. Sorry, not here, here. Okay. So now we have created a list of integers or array list of integers. Now when you use the add method, right, it's expecting an integer. This is the index, right? Earlier it was expecting object. Object can be anything, but now I can add on integers. For example, I can add 10, but not 10.5 or hello, whatever. Not something like 10.5, because 10.5 is not integer. You have promised that I will add on integers. That is not allowed. That is not allowed. So let's add few more integers. Say 20, 30. And of course, I can call the get method. Say L2 dot get, say 0th element. So 0th element is going to be 10. And again, I can ask is empty or whatever. Okay. And when you iterate, now you don't need to say it is object, because it's an integer array. Okay, so let's again iterate our second list. But this time you don't need to say object, because what we have created is an integer list. Okay. So you can simply say it's int or integer. Integer, my L2. Okay, let's call this y. Of course, I can reuse the x variable, but I will use different one. So now you don't need to say it's object, because it's an integer list. Right? So this is 10, 20, 30. Because I added only 10, 20, 30, because I can't add something like even 10.5, because it's an integer. It's okay. Right. So this is type safety, or we call this use of generics to make it type safe. But here we just create a list without type safety. Okay, without type safe. Here also, if you want, you can make it linked list. Of course, it's only internal representation is different. Okay. So we are going to get the same output. Right. So now you should have an idea about what is a list, what are the three implementations, what are the internal differences, and how to use it with type safety, without type safety. Okay, with type safety and without type safety. Okay, so this is with type safety. Now this time we have restricted it for strings. Okay, of course, when you restrict for string, integers are allowed, because integers are also implicitly strings. Okay. So then there's a special case of list called stack. Remember the overview. So there's a special class which extend the vector class called stack. So you will understand, you will learn about stack in details when you do the semester 3 data structures and algorithms, because stack is one of the data structure. And today also we use stacks in the morning. Remember the stack process architecture? You put it into a stack and take it. Right? Put it into a stack and take it. Right. So if you use a stack, you have restricted methods. Okay, you have restricted methods called push and pop. That means you can only push data and pop data. That means you can only work with the top. You can't access these middle data. So then we call it a stack data structure or stack. Okay. So if you want, you can create a stack and you can push and pop. Right. When you pop, that data is no longer there. Okay. That data is removed. But if you peek, still the data is there. You just peek at it. Okay. Let's do an example. Right. I will call this. Okay. Stack also will take to this example. Stack demo. So I'll create a stack. Stack. It's also in Java util package. For it s equal to new stack. sta. I am getting error. Stack. I think we need to import. Yeah, Java util stack. Now no errors. Now I can push, right? Push. Add method is still there, but you are supposed to use push and pop if you want to use it in a proper manner. The moment you use add get, that means you kill the nature of stack. Okay, so you must be disciplined to use push and pop and peak only if you really want to use it as a real stack. Okay, so anyway, other methods are available, but let's use in the proper way. Push. Push means you put it into the top. Say 10. Say s dot push. Say I just push different values. Say 50. I'm not pushing in the order. Say again push. Say 30. Now if I pop the last, so another name for stack is last in first out. Last in first out. So therefore now your stack is something like this after this line. 10 is there, 50 is there, 30 is there. Now if I pop, what I get is 30. If I pop it again, what I get is 50. And it is removed also. Okay, it is removed also. Let's pop it. S dot pop. So this should be 30. If I pop it again, it must be 50. And if I pop it again, it must be 10. Because it's last in, first out. Okay. So output must be 30 and 50. Last two output. 30 and 50. If I push something now again, that will be the next to pop again, because now we have a new top, say 80. Now if I pop, it will be 80, because now the top is having 80. 80. Okay. But if I peak it, now next time I pop it, it will be 10, because 10 is still there. Now it will be 10. Okay. Then of course, if I pop it, I will get error saying stack is empty. But there's another option, that is peak. Peak will not remove. Peak. Peak will just give it, but it is not removing. So therefore, next time when I peak, I will get 80. When I pop also, I will get 80, because peak is not going to remove it. So now both the cases, it is going to be 80. Because peak has not removed it. Pop will remove it. Can see both the cases 80. Now I can again pop it, because still 10 is there. Right? Still 10 is there. But if I again pop it, I should get error. Right? If I again pop it, I should get a runtime exception. Something like stack underflow. Right? Empty stack exception. Stack empty to so it's an exception, runtime exception. You can see it's a runtime exception, not a check exception. It's not a check exception. Because check exception so you must make sure that you don't get into these kind of situations. Okay. But if you want, you can put up a try catch block and catch it. Okay. So empty stack exception. Right. So now I explain about linked list. Sorry, list, array list, linked list, and vector. Then also the special case called stack. Of course, stack you can use it like a normal list, like add and get, set. But this is the proper way of using stack only using push, pop, peek, and so on. Okay. And of course, if you want, you can implement your own stacks also. That is actually what we do in semester 3. We develop our own stack using arrays, linked list, and so on. Okay. Right. So any questions? Any questions? Right. So next, we will move on to, of course, priority queue is also there. Remember the class hierarchy. So there's another one called queue interface and priority queue. So I'm not going to do it. I keep it for you guys if you are interested, because they have not asked any question about priority queues so far. But if you're interested, just do a small study on that. Okay, I will keep it for you guys. But I will explain sets. Okay, and the difference between list and set. Right. So set is again something like list, but only difference is set will not accept the duplicate elements. Remember the set concept in maths also, duplicates are not allowed. That is only difference. Okay, so let's create a set. I will call it S1. And set I need to import again. Easier thing is import with star, then everything is important. මෙච්චර දඟලන්න ඕනේ නැහැ සැරින් සැරේ. එතකොට ඔක්කොම ටික import වෙනවා. මතකනේ? Right. So now you can use one of the implementation, say new, either hash set, sorted set, tree set, or whatever. I will say even new type of sets are there. I will say hash set. Now the difference is, if you add the same amount, same value twice, the second one is ignored, because set is a set. Duplicates are not allowed. Okay, say S1 dot add, say 10. Say 20. And again 10. And I will ask how many elements are there. Okay, S out, S1 dot size. So now let's see what is the size. Ideally it should be 30, but because set is set, it will be 2. You can see 2. Because this is not allowed. Actually, you are not getting error, simply ignore. But if it is a list, this will be size is 3 and all 3 elements are there. 0th element also 10. Second element is also 10. You can try out here. Okay, මෙතන කරලා බලන්න එක. හරි. මට ඕන මෙතන ආයෙමත් 10 දාලා බලන්න. 10 දාලා බලන්න. කිසි අවුලක් නැහැ. Duplicate elements allow කරනවා. In list but not in sets. Right? You are not getting errors. Why is that? මම 10 කියලා දැන් index එකක්නේ. Right? Index එක 10 කියලා දාලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. So the value must be 10, right? එකල error එකක් දැක්ක ගමන් අපිට ටක් ගාලා ඔලුවට එනවා, බය වෙන්නේ නැහැ errors වලට. හරි. Experience එක කියන්නේ ඒක. Right? So no issue. But here the duplicate element is not allowed. Other than that, set and list are sort of identical. Okay. Then there are different implementations of the sets, right? For example, there's one implementation called hash set, link hash set, tree set. So just remember, if you really need, a tree set will keep your data in a sorted order. Okay. But hash set and link hash sets are pretty much the similar thing. Only the way is the internally how they keep it is different. But tree set will keep, whenever you see the word tree, that means sorted order is preserved. So if you want to get the data in a sorted manner later, you better use a tree set. Okay, tree set. Though you add it in a different way, internally it will be kept in the ascending order, right? But other than that, these are just different implementations of the same concept. Duplicates are not allowed. Okay. Right. What is the purpose of using stack? And today morning also I explained, right? Right? You can evaluate expressions. Okay. So I told you that stack is a processor architecture. Right? Stack is a processor architecture. I don't know whether you are from batch 4 or 5. For batch 4 or 5, I did the computer architecture topic today. So, and every batch I have done the computer architecture. If you are from batch 2 or 3, we have already done that. So there's a computer architecture also called stack architecture. Stack architecture can be cleverly used to solve different problems. So that is why you are learning stack as a data structure in semester 3 again. Okay. If you go to semester 3, there's subject called data structures and algorithms. So they are one of the topic is stack and queue. You can see stacks and queues. You can see linked list, arrays. So these things will be again coming. We are going into a little bit more depth, comparing these process and cons and how. So rather than we relying on languages, how we implement a linked list, how we implement a stack, how we implement a queue, and not only that, even trees, graphs, okay, and so on. Okay. Because there are a lot of practical examples from Google Maps, social media networks, right? So for example, social media networks are graphs, okay? Google Map is, say you want to go from one place to the other place, shortest path and so on. Those are graphs. Even project management, there's something called critical path analysis, okay? And there we will learn how to analyze two algorithms and say which one is the better performance. Because when you go up, it's not that you need to do it, you need to do the better way, best way. Okay. Right. So that's it about sets. Okay. So only thing is the duplicates are not allowed. Other than that, it is something like a list. Something like list. So the next one is map. Right. Next one is map. Map is slightly different because in map, we can define the index value. So far, either index you don't care or index is default value 0, 1, 2, 3. But when you go for map data structure or map collection, you can give whatever the value for your index also. It's a key value pair. Key value pair. So key you can give, not relying on 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And other than that, it's again pretty much similar. Pretty much similar. Okay, let's create. And there are a few implementations like hash map, hash table, link hash map, and tree map. And again, if you see tree, it keeps sorted order. But other maps, they are just how the implementation is done is different, like a hash map using link map, list, and so on. But remember, tree map means the data is kept in sorted order. Okay. What ඕන data ටික cat කරලා iterate කරලා බලන්න sorted order එකේ තියෙනවද කියලා. කුතුහලයක් තියෙන අය. හරි? tree map එකකට නැත්නම් tree set එකකට. ඔයා random add කරන්න. හරි? Right. So let's create a map also. Map. Again, the interface is map. Say I call it M1 equal, but implementation you need to decide. I will say hash map. Okay. Again, if you want, you can create a data set map. You can decide what are the data type for what is the data type for the key, what is the data type for the value, or you can say anything. This is anything map. Okay. Then the methods are different. You don't have a method called add now. Rather, what you have is put, because you need to give the key now. Right? Keys. So let's say my key is Nimal. Maybe this is Nimal's mark. Okay, Nimal. And say this is Nimal's mark 80. Right? So now I can give whatever the key I want, which is very flexible. Especially when we take data from database, this key is usually column name. Okay. Or maybe this is your primary key, this is your value. Okay. say Kamal, this is Kamal's mark, 70, and so on. So this has a little bit more flexibility, but if you need to control the key only, you use this, because this use little bit more resources. Okay, say Raju. Now, if you want to access it, you can use the get method again, right? M1 dot get. You can give the key. Say key is say Raju. So then it must say 90. Okay, let's say Kamal. Now there's nothing called 0, 1, 2 default key. Key is something we control now. Now the output must be 70. 70. Right. So that is called map. Okay. And again, now I can add anything here. For example, here I can say 70.8 because I have not specified the data type. But if you want to control it, you can do it. You can do it something like this. That's my curly bracket. So I can create like this. So now I need to give two things. What is the data type for key? What is the data type for value? Say my data type for key is say string, and my data type for value is say integer. Okay. So then I need to do the same thing at the object creation type also. Sorry, not twice, comma separated. Something like this. Okay. Right. So now your key must be a string, value must be integer. Okay. So now when I say m2.put, right. So this is fine. M2.put, but this is not going to work. So, Mali. So 90.1 will not work because we say it's integer, but this is not integer. So this is not going to work. So that is why how you preserve the type same. Okay. And again, we can iterate. Here it is object and object, but here the keys are strings, values are integers. So therefore, here when you iterate, you can straight away use these data types. Okay. So this is how you iterate values. This is how you iterate the keys. Okay, so let me copy that. It's slightly different because you need to say whether because you have the keys and values separate now. You need to say whether you iterate values or keys or key set. Okay. Right, so let's say this is M2 values, and this is M2 key set. So M2 values will be, okay, of course, M2 has only one data. Let's use M1 because M1 has more data. Okay. So that is what Nimal, Kamal, Raju. Here 80, 70.8 and 90 separately. So this is why iterating the values. So here we iterate the values. Here we iterate the keys. Okay, keys. So let's run and see. Can see these are the values 80, 70.8 and 90 because it's not type safe. First map. Okay. And these are the keys, Nimal, Kamal, and Raju. Nimal, Kamal, and Raju. I need to say that it is object because I iterated M1. M1 is not type safe. But if I iterate M2, I don't need to say object. I can say here values, it is an integer. When you do the iteration of keys, I can say string, so that you can do it by yourself. Maybe you can add few more data to M2 and do the iteration and see. Okay, right, that's it. That's it. That's it about collections. So we did one more topic also. හිතුවට වැඩි තව topic එක වැඩිම කරමු. Right. Right. So we did collections also. Okay. So next time we'll do generics, annotations. Okay, generics and annotations. And before that, we'll do a past paper. අද කරන්න තියෙන්නේ past paper එක. නමුත් අන්තිම මම 21 කට තව ටිකක් කළාම past paper එක කරනවා. Next time we'll do the first we'll do the 2023 paper. We can do more than 30 questions out of 40. Then we'll do generics and annotations and maybe IO streams and applets. Maybe we can do all four. Choose topic, okay? Right. So we stop at this point. So today you don't have evening session, okay? Right. We stop at this point.